It's time to take a therapeutic dose, a prescription-strength reality TV podcast that explores the intersection of reality TV and therapy. Possible side effects may include entertainment, strong emotional reactions, and/or laughter. Here are your hosts, Ramona Ramirez and Margee McGee.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to a Therapeutic Dose, where we meet once a week at the intersection of reality TV and therapy. And we're going to discuss Orange County this week. And that was a busy intersection of reality TV and therapy.
It was. Hello, everyone. I am Ramona, and I am so happy to be here with my friend Margee, and so glad to be back. Diving into Orange County versus whatever they had us not watching last week. Thanks, Brobs, but very happy to be here. Yes.
Yeah. I made the mistake of listening back to our episode last week, and I was so mad. I was like, oh my God, you need to calm down and find some joy in your life because you're too pissed off at Bethany Frankel. I was so mad.
I think that I don't know that there is I don't think so. I really don't. I feel like Bethany really showed her whole self last week, and I think the world reacted pretty much the same way that you and I did. And no, I don't think that you were too mad. I really don't.
No, I mean, it just gave me things to look at, and it's the same shit that comes up for me all the time. It's like, I hate liars, and I hate people who don't do the hard work. And that includes Rachel, who didn't do her therapy, and it includes Bethany, who didn't do her fucking research. Real quick, I don't know if you listened to the third part, but she made some comment about Below Deck Down Under, and she's like, there was an incident of assault, and where were the producers? Where were the producers? And I was like, they stepped in twice. Please just stop with it. And then I stopped listening. So good for me. Progress.
She's just so confidently wrong. She just says it with so much conviction. And I'm mad because she's just such a fucking hypocrite. I love that all the Bravo accounts on Instagram, on Reddit, probably TikTok, although I'm not a TikToker. Everyone was showing montage after collection of Bethany when she was saying the exact opposite of what she was saying during her interviews with Rachel. And she's infuriating.
Don't care.
She doesn't care. She doesn't care.
She's the queen of disposable media, which is as an old person, I have a problem with that. I think media is art, and I have to let go of that because Bethany Frankel exists.
I mean, yeah, I hear what you're saying, though. I really, really do.
Orange County was art for me this week. It opened with ASMR, basically, Orange County ASMR. It was just a breeze and a lapping wave and a bike bell.
Yes. Before we start, I remember, was it last week? Yeah, it was last week when I talked about the ICD-9 book of diagnoses. Well, that is for medical diagnoses. I was reminded yesterday that the one for diagnoses dealing with mental health or behavior is the DSM-5. David, Sally, Martin 5. So when I make mistakes, I want to definitely correct them. So no, it's not the ICD-9, it's the DSM-5 for mental health, yes, and behavior. Anyway, that's that.
Okay.
So the episode is called It's My Fiesta, and I'll cry if I want to. Okay. Starring Señor Noodlez.
I can't. I went on a terrible, last night was a bad Señor Noodlez deep dive, and I regret every second of it. I kept looking for something redeemable about him, and it doesn't exist. So everyone spare yourselves. He's as awful as he presented, and only worse when you dig deeper.
I tried so hard to find out this man's real name. And I looked on Chrome, I Googled, I Safari'd, I DuckDuckGo'd, I tried everything. And I can't find this guy's real name at all. And so we'll just...
Look, I made up a whole story about him. I decided that he had done serious jail time. So I started looking at whatever. I couldn't find his real name either. Something's weird about that guy. A
Something's
lot of
weird.
things
A
are
lot of
weird.
things, yeah.
Mhm.
A
But
lot of
that's
things
Orange
are weird.
County.
It is.
Everything's weird in Orange County, so he has
Completely.
found his home. Good for
Completely.
Señor Noodlez.
Completely.
Oh,
Yeah. So the first scene of Merit, Emily is meeting an exoneree at a boutique to shop for a gala for an organization that Emily is involved with as a volunteer and also an advocate, and it's called the California Innocence Project. And she volunteers her time as a lawyer to help people that have been incarcerated for crimes
wrongfully.
wrongfully for
Yeah,
crimes they didn't
wrongfully
commit.
convicted. And the
Mhm.
Innocence Project is a, hardcore discerning program. Like, they don't pick you as a client unless there's an abundance of evidence to prove that you were put in jail wrongly. Yeah, that was it. That benefit just like broke my heart to
Broke
see
it.
like how many people lost how many lives of years of their life. There was through this episode, there was like a weird motif of like justice and resources. Like, we'll get there, but
Yep,
it was
yep,
just so
yep.
interesting to see, Shannon brag about like, well, I called the DA at 10 p.m. So Gina's kids didn't have to go to CPS and she didn't have to go to jail. And I was like, oh, and then so now we see why the Innocence Project like has to be a thing because not everybody has access like that or resources. Anyways,
Thank you.
I got all on a soapbox.
Well, it's a righteous soapbox, and it is a soapbox it deserves to be there front and center because it's true. It's all about access. If you have access and if you have connections and if you have money, you will probably not go to jail if you are innocent. If you don't have the resources, you know, poverty is a big crime in the United States of America. It's a huge crime.
It's an epidemic.
It is yeah. And yet billionaire corporations go untaxed. So talk about a soapbox, Margaret.
Listen, I'll get up there with you, especially right now. These days, I feel like I live on that soapbox. Real quick though,
Please.
that first scene with Shannon and John, to
Oh, yes.
me,
I'm so sorry. Yes,
oh
yes,
God, who
yes.
cares? To me, it was just like just quintessential, like two alcoholics on a couch. Like Shannon just in
Oh my
full
God.
weepy victim mode. Like, what am I
Yes,
going to do?
yes,
My
yes.
parties tonight. And John in this like intense, like kind of just real volatile anger underneath, like volcano about to explode, saying they just need to shut the fuck up. And then he told Shannon, be careful who you trust because many people are untrustworthy. And I'm like, you called her fat. You left her at Nobu. Like, you shut the fuck up. You're not trustworthy. And yeah. And then I noticed that his profile, he looked like a Komodo dragon because he has like a little
A Trump
lower.
waddle.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
it's very full.
I have never noticed.
Oh, well, I'll put some
I saw
pictures
it
together.
and I
Yeah,
loved it.
so there
Yes,
he is.
yes. I noticed after you pointed it out, but no,
Oh,
I
yeah.
had not noticed before. Yeah, I was actually wondering last night, tell me what you think about this. It's like the only qualification for Al-Anon which is the program, the 12-step program for people that other drinking or drug using affects them. So I went because I was affected by my qualifier, who was my father, and then probably other people as I got older, because his drinking, his behavior when he drank bothered me. So at first I went to Alateen, and then I went to Al-Anon. And can I go to Al-Anon for these parasocial relationships where their drinking and behavior bothers me? Like, hi, I'm Ramona, and I'm powerless over Shannon Bedore's drinking.
It's all like there's so many people in those meetings who don't have Al-Anon in their direct family, but it's weird because once you look a little deeper, it's like, oh, I guess there was alcoholism like somewhere very close. They say, it's a disease that has a long reach.
It really
So
does.
even if like generationally, like, you know, decades ago someone had it, then that means someone was raised by someone who had it. And unless they did the work to change how they raise the next generation, then everybody is sort of suffering the consequences down the
Absolutely.
line. So yes,
Absolutely.
Shannon and
100%.
John's drinking bothers me.
It bothers me too. Their behavior, it's the behavior of the alcoholic. And
The
it's,
attitude,
yeah,
victimy, and
blame
then like
everybody else.
righteously aggressive,
Yes.
like indignant John attitude. Like, yeah, anyways, that moment just, like, if Statler and Waldorf were like
Oh my
hateful
God.
alcoholics, that would be a scene for them.
Statler and Waldorf are the best. They are the best. They are all of us. We didn't know
They're
how
the
good we had it as Gen X children when we could see Statler and Waldorf on a weekly basis.
For anyone who doesn't know, they're like the two grumpy Muppets who sit in the balcony and watch the Muppet Show and talk shit about them. But they're delightful and funny, and they like each other. But Shannon and John are like the upside down version of Statler and Waldorf. They like hate each other. They're like so
Oh
unfun,
God.
but they're
Shannon's
always side by side.
Shannon's unprocessed damage really was on display last night. We will get there. We'll get
Yes.
there many times. So Emily is in a boutique with, oh, I feel so bad that Kim, thank you. Thank you. You jotted down her name. I don't know if I did it during my first run through, but that is not okay to not refer to someone by their name. And this scene, Shannon is taking Kim shopping so that Kim has Emily, my God. Why?
Shannon would never. She has to
Shannon
do
would
crepe
never.
paper roses and cry about two people canceling on her.
Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? Is this really happening? Emily, I am so sorry. This is so unacceptable. It's unacceptable.
It's not. It's morning OC brain. It's fine. They're all the same at the end of the day. Like, yeah.
My point is that the biggest thing I gleaned from this scene, interspersed between the scene of Emily and Kim trying dresses on for the gala, is Emily's in the moments where she's talking to producers in her confessionals about, she gives us a description of what the California Innocence Project is, as well as her perspective on, she's like, I could have problems with this, and this, and it is nothing compared to the fact that this woman missed out on 7 years with her children because she was behind bars for something that I never did. So Emily has that right-sized kind of perspective on things compared to when we see Heather Dubrow in the Montana episode a few weeks ago, where her big revelation is, I shoveled shit, and that makes me know that work is really hard, and everyone has their place in the world. Basically, the people who shovel shit and me who get to shovel shit as a recreation, and realize I'm so grateful I don't shovel shit, and I'm so grateful for the people that do shovel shit. So
yeah, and Heather Dubrow in this episode too has never seemed more irrelevant. Like, as we deal with, Emily and the Innocence Project, like I literally, my body physically rejected watching penthouse scenes and stuff because I was like, you don't do anything. You're so out of touch. And in this particular episode, it's extra ugly.
it was extra ugly. Yeah.
Because I feel like Emily's storyline here was such a great testimonial for community outreach, community service, like reaching beyond your circle to like check in on how the rest of the world is doing.
Totally.
And if you have a skill set that can help, it takes very little and you get so much back. Like
so much.
That gala with everyone who spoke on the verge of tears, I was like, oh my God, this is incredibly meaningful to lots of people. And say what you will about Kim Kardashian, but she's devoted a lot of time and energy to getting wrongly convicted people out of jail as well, Uh-oh, what did I do?
No, you didn't do anything. You didn't do anything. I reserve. I'm not sure yet. I feel that the damage that family has inflicted upon 2 or 3 generations now, with their lying and their appropriation and their diabolical influence over body trends. I don't know. I don't have grace for them yet.
I mean, I feel like we probably have talked about this before, but I am a weird, not entirely, but I'm a weird Kardashian apologist for this reason. Their family, like my family, is fucked up in ways that if you talk about it, people pass out. They have one dad who got OJ off and died of cancer. One dad who became a woman. Scott Disick is in their family. Lamar Odom is in their family. And nobody is turned away. If you are in their family, you can almost die from doing cocaine off of 10 hookers' butts, and they're at your hospital bed and you are gathered and collected. If you're Scott Disick and you're, an alcoholic piece of shit, both your parents die, you have family still, like you still belong. If you're, Bruce Jenner and you leave your family in this, like, I don't like Kris Kardashian at all, but there was one episode of The Kardashians when she was coming to terms with the end of her marriage, layered onto that the end of understanding who this person was that she had been with at all. And again, the reason we do this podcast is because we project our own stories onto the stories we see on TV. We had a similar circumstance in my family where, a marriage ended because after 45 years, someone acknowledged their sexuality was not what they had ever said it was. And they had been stepping out for years. And that person created my niece and nephews, who are the best people on the planet. So he can't just be dead to me because he matters to them.
Right.
So it's so complicated. And
It is.
also they, opened a church to escape taxes. And I get it. And there's plenty that's terrible about them. I care about my body and notice things more than I should because I get it. I totally get it. But there's this underlying message. If you're damaged and you feel rejected and embarrassed every time you tell your family story, it's like, oh, I could tell it to these people and they wouldn't wince. They would shrug.
I take it all under consideration. I swear.
Yes.
I really do. I really do.
Yeah. And I'm not dying on this hill by any means. I'm rolling right off it. I just sort of, I tend to like to plant a flag just to be like, there's something worthwhile there.
I love that about you, though. I really do.
Kim Kardashian got a grandma out of jail.
She
so
did.
She could see her grandkids before she dies.
She did.
Anyways,
she did.
But Emily's better. Emily's the best. This episode, this whole season.
I know. Emily's really, I just want to lean in so badly to unadulterated, unfettered reverence for Emily Simpson. And maybe I should just surrender. Maybe I should just let myself.
This episode, I gave over completely.
You're right.
When it ended with her asking for a loaf of sourdough bread, I was like, you know what?
Yep.
You're my queen. You're my people.
Yep.
Thank God.
I know. You're right.
I'm sorry. I just took us on a massive detour.
You didn't. It's fine. It was a relevant detour.
Yeah.
Gina and Heather share a short FaceTime checking in to see if they're going to be going to Shannon's party that evening, which is a Tuesday following the Friday when they had the come as the other housewife party. And this is when Shannon was rightly called out by most of the housewives for not owning up to the fact that she calls her friends while she's wasted, talks mad shit about her own relationship, which she probably desperately needs to do, and then doesn't remember that she's done this. She's furious at everyone else because, in her opinion, they're the ones that are causing Shannon the need for doing damage control with her relationship versus her own behavior. So,
I mean, this episode was so interesting to me because I guess I was open to a new perspective on an alcoholic because at the end, the scenes, for what's coming next week, Shannon says, someone mentions that she brought up Gina's kids having to be carted off to Child Protective Service. And Shannon literally says, I didn't say that. I will die. I did not say that, on my life. And I was like, oh my God. It's so interesting to me because everything the alcoholics in my life also say such flagrant, wild shit it knocks me on my ass. How can you not remember that? But then I see this and I'm like, oh, I guess they really don't. They're so either unconscious because their brain is soaked with liquor or just because they don't care to check in. That, yeah, I don't know. That was a really interesting moment, that little upcoming scenes moment. I was like, oh my God, Shannon is willing to die for something that we literally just saw on camera 10 minutes ago.
Oh
wow.
Yeah, Shannon's really she's in her cups. She really is in her, she's in her disease that she has not admitted that she's had, so I don't think I get to call her an alcoholic, but from, if it walks like an alcoholic and it talks like an
If it
alcoholic,
stumbles like a alcoholic and slurs like an
if
alcoholic,
it slurs like an
it's an
alcoholic,
alcoholic.
if it's self-centered like an alcoholic. Anyway.
Anyway, Gina's spray tan was crazy and Heather's annoying. That was my takeaway.
Yeah, I wrote K. And
And
then
then Tamara or Glam, I wrote who cares?
yeah, exactly. And then again, yeah, I get so happy when I see the makeup artists doing things like taking a brush and dipping it into the colors that they've probably custom matched on their hand, and it makes me a makeup artists are artists, period, full stop. I just get excited when I see people doing their creativity. I just yeah, it made me miss doing makeup. It made me happy to see makeup artists just in their element. It just gave
That's
me a little
so
bit of joy.
cool.
Yeah, I loved it.
Yeah, it's true. It's like watching Bob Ross when he like mixes his
Mhm.
paints and like the way he uses a brush on a canvas. You put
Mhm.
the same paints and brush in my hand, we do not get the same
No,
outcome. Like
exactly.
some people are given a gift and it's really special. It is art,
It
truly.
is. It is. So then Heather makes a trip from Newport to Huntington Beach, which is not an easy jaunt, especially, like, depending on the time of day, and I guess she went all the way to Huntington Beach because she wanted to talk to Shannon to I don't personally, I wouldn't have made that choice to drive from Newport to Huntington Beach and
She
then
wanted
back.
camera time.
She
She had
wanted
an
camera
outfit
time.
she liked. She liked
Mhm.
that pencil skirt and wanted it in a natural light. And so she drove to Huntington Beach.
And she wanted to just go. I don't believe she actually wanted to clear up any, dirty air between her and Shannon. I think she wanted to go and just yell at Shannon or just berate her on camera at best.
Yeah, she came in so aggressive and it was mean, saying like, "I've not divulged any of your secrets." It's like, calm down. Say what you mean, but don't say it mean. Like, it's not that big a deal. Just say,
I
"I'm
know.
not coming to your party tonight because I'm uncomfortable with where we are right now. You're accusing me of things I didn't do." However, I do think she did do
Oh,
those things.
she absolutely did. I mean, and even if we didn't see her do it on camera to her coworkers, she did it on camera to the producers in her in
Truth.
the and she dumped out stuff that is like the kind of thing that if I had told someone under the guise of secrecy, I would have been devastated. The
Oh
things
my
that
God.
Heather shared really weren't Heather's to share. Fuck, man, it was gnarly. Yeah.
And I did get a kick out of Shannon was holding like a crepe paper flower in one of her hands. And as they were fighting, she was like gesturing wildly, and this like red crepe paper flower kept like crossing frame. And I was like, oh my God, you're really undercutting your
Oh,
fury right now.
man,
But
man.
Shannon is, I wrote at this point, I was like, Shannon is either in denial or she's pathological. Cause like, why not just say what's going on? If it's not that bad at this point, just say it.
Right.
Don't have another screaming, vague argument and flap a crepe paper flower around in someone's face. Just say what's not that bad. Be specific. But
It
I don't
just
know.
it was so hard to watch someone working so hard to protect a relationship that probably isn't worthy of that much energy to protect in the first place, but just that terror of what if this is taken away from me,
Yeah.
and she was just going to do anything. They say in many 12-step rooms that the root of everyone's issues can be boiled down to fear of losing what I have and fear of not getting what I want. And she's clearly wanting that happy fairy tale ending with John, and she's terrified of losing that shred of a relationship. I mean, we've all seen it. I don't think it's anything. Listen, yeah, you know what I'm saying.
I know
But
exactly what you're
it
saying.
was
And
very uncomfortable to see someone so terrified of losing something so profoundly toxic.
it's just the
Yeah.
dishonesty. It's
Mhm.
that like defensiveness. So now I'm a loony bin. It's
Oh,
like, what is the truth? The truth, again, I've said it before. I don't even fault Shannon because being old and lonely is so awful. Like it's hard. And sometimes what's hard about a bad relationship where you don't live under the same roof is less hard sometimes than being lonely. But like trying to tell us that their relationship is fine or that John is a decent human being is like, well,
Yeah.
that is a waste of your breath. And you just, what could have been sympathetic about you is erased because you're just, that's not true. But I was wondering what you thought about. Heather says that John loves being in the limelight, which is why he's with Shannon. Is John in the limelight? Like, is he's just such a fucking lump of skin.
He
Like, what
is a
does
lump
he
of skin,
do?
but if Shannon and John showed up at the Quiet Woman, I mean, they're obviously all gonna know who Shannon is, and we've seen from that guy's the manager of the Quiet Woman, his appearance on Watch What Happens Live the night that Shannon was there, it's clear that she's Quiet Woman VIP. When she walks into the Quiet Woman without a reservation, they find her a table, and they find her a good table, and they probably know her order at the bar, and so maybe Shannon is A-list in Orange County, and so he's the partner of A-list in Orange County, you know,
Yeah, no, I guess it's Orange County is just such its own weird ecosystem and social system.
really,
Like,
truly.
because yeah, I bet you're right. I bet somehow this show raises his profile in a way that like feels worthwhile in Orange County. But I'm like, I never hear of him unless he's like, on his like weird cement boat dock. But I guess if I lived in Orange County, I'd have a different experience of John
They
Jansen.
probably show up in the society pages of those magazines that are put there for free inside of coffee shops or at strip malls or in those boutiques that we've seen, like when you're on your way out, they have it by a shelf, and it's not the kind of magazine where yeah, it's that kind of magazine that Lydia put out, you know?
It's only those magazines only exist in like extremely affluent
Yep,
communities.
yep,
It's only Beverly Hills. It's only Bradford Estates. Like it does not exist.
probably the
Like you don't see those
Hamptons.
in like Hollywood and Highland Starbucks.
No,
No,
no, you don't. Yes,
the
yeah.
Hamptons.
Yep,
Yes.
yep. You see them in Beverly Hills boutiques, Beverly Hills coffee shops or something like that, and so maybe he's enjoying being on the page 6 of whatever magazine, local magazine puts them out, but, I personally believe that if you are in a relationship with a housewife and you shoot a scene where you're not pixelated out, there you go. Like, you're fair game. You're in a relationship with Shannon. You're gonna be up for scrutiny just like anybody else is. We know you by first and last name. The other wives know you by first and last name and your behavior. Your reputation precedes yourself. So, yeah, he knows what he's doing, I think.
Yeah. No, you're right. And I can't even believe it. Again, this season is just blowing my mind, but it makes me think about, although I don't want to spend any time with Shane, Emily's husband, I appreciate Shane because he shows up on camera for the, to quote, what's her face, Kelly Dodd, the dork that he is. He's
Totally.
just a little dork and he shows up on camera and we followed his failing the bar 15 times journey. We followed his whatever. At least he's authentic. Something about John is just like, it's just like encased rage that's like really unsettling. And it doesn't seem it's not he's not accessible because there's nothing honest there, which I guess is why I think what puts him in the limelight. Like I don't know anything about him and he's
Uh,
just like a boring blob.
I mean, yeah. Notoriety is something that really fueled my qualifier, and titles and being on certain, let's see, like organizations that the name probably carried a cachet. I feel like the main alcoholic in my life was very fueled by the same things on the surface that John Jansen might be
Yeah, that makes
attracted to.
sense. Money, property,
Money,
prestige.
property, prestige. Absolutely. Absolutely.
I did love
Anyway,
that all of the women in their confessionals shared the exact same story. It just gives credence to, Shannon does get drunk late at night and she does call everyone and she does divulge this information. And then either she forgets or has unreasonable expectations of her reality TV castmates to keep what she said in confidence when she's called all of them to say the same thing. It's just so bizarre. But I'm glad the producers, the editors put that in so we could see that,
Me too.
yeah,
I
everyone is having this experience of her.
absolutely. I absolutely agree. There was nowhere to hide. Nowhere to hide. Then I had a little bit I had some reactions to this next scene, which is Jenn. We go to Jenn's house. Oh, do you have anything else to say about Shannon and Heather's conversation?
No, I mean, she stormed off and I found it hilarious again that she's just like telling the cameras to leave her alone and they have like 3 cameras
Oh,
on her
yeah,
at
yeah.
different angles and she's like, "This can't be on camera."
There
And I was like, "Just take a breath and like be where you are and figure out what you need to do instead of
yeah.
just frantically doing everything all at once, spilling your guts, screaming at cameras, like you're out of control."
So much fourth wall breaking
I
between
loved
I
it.
did too, but, Shannon was so activated. She was just reverted back to this, like, terrified, childlike behavior of lashing out and, ripping off the mic pack. It made me think like, "Oh, her behavior is it's bothering me. It's
Yeah.
bothering me."
Oh, wait, you're right. This is the one where she just stormed off and ripped
Yeah.
off her backpack. Sorry, she does more later, you're right.
No, that's
Um,
okay.
and yes, this scene I'm so glad to hear you say that because I had a huge I was I was horrified by the scene. I just thought it was exploitation of a little
It
kid.
did.
It's Jenn and her adorable son, Dominic. Oh
Yeah.
my God, that baby is so
He's
cute.
he's really adorable. Yeah, I try to think a lot about children having agency over their own lives, and obviously it's the adults in their life, their caregivers who are tasked with being the keepers of their children's best interests and their trust, most importantly. There should be no stigma attached to adoption, but it's so being asked about your birth mom on
And she
camera when you're
forced him
8.
into
Yeah,
it.
and that's
He
what
wanted to
felt
play with the kitty, he wanted to kick the soccer ball, and she goes, "Come here," and wrestles him into her body and forces him to talk about adoption and race, 2 of the
Yep.
most sensitive topics that this boy will probably ever address in his
Mm.
lifetime.
Yeah. Yeah.
I was like, "You can have this conversation with your castmates. Do not wrestle your adorable son." Because he was like trying to get away. She's like, "Do you want to meet her?" And he was like, "I don't know. Would you tell her this and that?" And he was like, "I guess. Can I like play with my soccer ball now?" Like,
It
I was
was
so uncomfortable. It
I
made
was
me
so
really mad.
uncomfortable. I was so uncomfortable, and I think I actually paused the TV, and I was trying to ask myself, like, "Why? Why?" And it's true, like, this little boy didn't get a say in talking about his birth mom, and what would you say to her on if
And
you
do you want to
saw
meet
her, and
her? And like,
right,
she looks
it's
like you. That is so private. Like,
yeah.
oh my God.
Yeah. It was it was hard for me to see, to I my heart broke. It shattered so many times when she was talking about Dominic saying, "I want to look like my brother and why doesn't my skin look like, theirs?" And Jen coming at it from her perspective, from a cosmetic standpoint, like, "Oh, don't you know that mommy wishes her skin would be that color?" It's
Awful.
like I would hope that there are grown-ups in Dominic's life that are close to his family that mirror him with his skin color, his eye color, his like, helping him keep his culture, like, teach him about his culture. And from what I gleaned from last night's interaction that we saw is that there aren't people in his life on a regular basis that he can look at for representation and to be mirrored. And
But yeah,
that
I don't,
must be really painful. And the fact that she's not acknowledging that is what was really hard for me. Like, instead of getting to the root, which is to talk about, yeah, you do look different than your siblings, you look different than me, and not trying to talk him out of, not trying to like bombard him with toxic positivity about his looks, but to like, well, let's talk about why.
I guess I was just bothered because
Yeah.
I don't think it was up for him yet. It will come up, but she asked him, "Do people talk about how your skin is brown and mommy's skin is white?" And he
Mhm.
said no. So don't fucking go at him with like, well, you're beautiful and your brown skin.
Yeah.
Let him bring it to you. Now, like, I think I was just, that's what was bothering me. It's like, maybe he had these conversations with her in fucking
In
private,
private.
but with a camera there, don't like wrestle him into exposing what's, challenging for him. He's 7. His world is really small, and the parts that feel dangerous feel really dangerous, and the parts that feel vulnerable feel really vulnerable.
Yeah.
And I was happy for the little moment at the end because you could see that he really does love her and trust her, and they have a
Mhm.
fun time kicking soccer balls into the pool. But that whole scene, last week with all of that stuff that happened on Below Deck Down Under, it was, the theme of the week was consent. And I was like, where are the producers here when Jenn is like literally has her son in a headlock asking him about, his race and his adoption feelings? I
Oh
was just like,
God.
can the producers like not step in and say like, hey, why don't you just talk about this with one of your castmates? Or can the editors be like, this is weird and uncomfortable. This is a storyline, but maybe we don't put the boy maybe we don't make the boy do it.
My
And
God.
it's not like Olivia on New Jersey, Jen Aiden's daughter, who fucking lives for the camera. And I love her for it. She comes on with like lipstick and a purse. She walks into a scene and she loves it.
Oh my
And that's
God.
why I love watching her. But Dominic was like, there's a kitty. Let me go. There's my soccer ball. Let me go.
Yeah. Oh God. But at least we did learn that they're fostering the kittens, and so I felt better, but I was triggered for like a microsecond, like, oh God, the cats are back and that one doesn't want to eat. Oh God.
I had the same feeling. And she kept saying, like, just trust me, just trust me. And I'm
I
like,
know.
I'm like, you're doing this wrong. Like,
Oh my
you
God.
earn trust. You don't
Yeah.
tell trust.
Yeah.
Anyways, I
Yeah.
had a lot of feelings about this scene. And I did think of you because, I know you have a son who is facing or certainly will at some point, unfortunately, because America is what it is, you know? And I
Yeah.
think I felt maybe that's why I reacted so strongly because there's like elements of Dominic that remind me of your sweet boy who I
Yeah.
like has my whole heart in his little hand.
He reminded me of my son too. He absolutely did. And,
Yeah.
I've told Leo, we have lots of conversations about the police in our house because Leo is a kid and he's seen the, there's a lot of, there's one view of police that kids are presented with in TV programs geared towards kids their age, and there's no nuance. It's that, police officers are heroes, full stop. I've told him about, people in my family's experience with the police and the fact that my father was pulled over many times in his youth for driving European sports cars. He worked at McDonald's so he could afford an MG. And then, oh God, there was another one he had after that. Anyway, he had 2 British sports cars because he was a total Anglophile when he was a teenager. And he would be pulled over for driving them because he was brown. So, and I could see my kid's wheels turning when he thought about that. I haven't said it, but like this could happen to you. But I have said people are treated differently because of the color of their skin in this country. And he's definitely started learning about that already in school. And I don't know that there's a time that's too early. I've been reading him books since he was before he could talk, and we definitely have many books that address differences in class, differences in race, differences in how people are treated. I have faith he'll understand my views on police the older he gets, because I'm not changing my mind. We don't watch shows about police in this house and we don't play with toys about police in this house.
No, and unfortunately, like, yeah, I mean, it's not, it's like not even a viewpoint. It's just the
It's
truth,
just the truth, right?
like I worked in a writer's room once and there was a Black writer who drove this like incredibly fancy and amazing car
I
because
remember
he
this
had,
story.
yeah, he'd worked
Yeah.
for years. He was incredibly successful. And he had to allow extra time for his commute to work every morning because he got pulled over so regularly. And that was just fucking nauseating to me to the point where eventually he got rid of the nice car and just got like a nondescript car because it's so disruptive, you know? And I don't know, he's an amazing guy. He worked his fucking ass off for his money. He supports his family. Not that that matters, but like he's a wonderful person. And it is so true. The only reason that he got pulled over in the city of Los Angeles is for the color of his skin. And it's super, yeah, it's just a unfair, hard truth.
Mhm.
And however, I don't love watching Jenn trying to like make her 7-year-old
Yeah. Oh, absolutely
upset
not.
on camera about
Absolutely
it.
not. Absolutely not.
He will be upset. His life will,
Absolutely not. Yeah.
anyways. I'm glad we had the same feeling because I was like,
Yes.
maybe ask Ramona what a therapist would think of this scene because I don't know
Yeah.
what I'm so overwhelmed by my anger.
I know. I wrote down the same thing. I'm like, I can't wait to talk to Margie about this because I
Good.
just didn't my reaction, I was like, why is it so? Why are my hackles up so much? Like, why am I sensing there's something I should be?
Well, I did
Yeah.
part of it was like because the opening of the scene, he's so cute, that
He's
boy. And
so
I had
cute.
that same feeling where I was like, "Oh my god, I want to hang out and play with him and those kittens because he's such a cute kid." It's the same way I love spending time with your son. And then this scene took like a really hard left and a dark turn and I was like, "No, no, no, no."
Right. With someone that feels like, at least what we're shown, it feels like she's not equipped to have that kind of conversation. And
Get a
it's
therapist.
right.
Oh my god.
Get a therapist, like have some people in Dominic's life that
Both.
look like him. Yes, both.
Yes, my
Absolutely.
god, he
Absolutely.
deserves it all.
He really does.
Anyways.
Anyways.
So many opinions. All
Yeah.
right. Terry and Heather are in escrow.
Oh
Who
my God.
cares? She wants three
Mhm.
things. I don't care what the third one is.
Oh,
I
she
guess
just
it's to
yeah.
be on Real Housewives of Beverly Hills or something. I don't know.
I just all I know is that they were signing their escrow papers in front of that ugly etching of the tree that have the embryos, the embryo branch.
Oh my God. I forgot about that. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did they get 55 million for that house?
I
Who
don't
was
know.
like, you know what? Yeah, I want an etching with Heather Dubrows embryos.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ugh.
I
Oh,
know.
Orange County. Orange County's gonna Orange County.
Just so excited to sign these papers and, again, not reading the collective room of the country right now, but I guess that's why they're on this show. It
Yep.
just feels like there can be a balance between humility and, you can say, I'm so grateful that this house we put so much love into, that someone else is going to love it and someone else sees what we saw and that's why they bought it. Even if that's not 100% true, they could still go through the motions just to acknowledge. But instead, they're like high-fiving.
Because they love money. They love money more
I
than they care about anything
Yeah.
else. They like telling us what the price tag
Oh my
was,
god.
that they sold their house for 55 and that they just like used their pocket change of 14 mil to grab that penthouse. Like, ugh,
Oh my
I
god.
fucking hate them.
I
I
really I
really
really
don't
do.
care for them. But this next scene I loved so much. This is where Emily, again,
Absolutely.
the way she ordered that cold brew is the same way I do. She's like, I'll have a cold brew with heavy cream and sugar and extra large. And I was like, yes, love her so
I
much.
really do. I really do. So we cut to the scene where Emily is going to FaceTime Shannon, and first she needs her large coffee to cope, with the conversation that she has coming up. So Emily FaceTimes Shannon from outside the coffee shop. I don't think Emily's made the decision to not go yet, right?
No, Emily later said, I was calling to tell her that I would be late
Right.
because I have this obligation for this incredibly important
Right.
gala fundraising event for an incredibly important like social justice mission. So I was so moved that Emily was even thinking of going to this stupid, dumb crepe paper flower fiesta with Señor Noodlez. But then Shannon and ruined it for
Ag-
herself.
Again, I can't stress enough that for people that aren't familiar with navigating the roadways of Southern California, the California Innocence Project was being held in a part of San Diego that isn't like a freeway exit doesn't just get you to Humphreys by the Bay. You have to take a freeway exit, navigates, quasi city streets in order to get to the coast. I could tell by the time of day that these were being shot that it's during peak rush hour, so the fact that she was going to leave a destination in San Diego to drive back to Huntington Beach, she was gonna be facing a lot of brake lights looking ahead of her on the many freeways she was gonna take. It was not gonna be an easy thing.
No,
It's
it
a
was so nice of her to even be willing to
it's an
do that.
exhausting commute. Yeah.
For a
Yeah,
taco party? Come on.
for a taco party. So
Yeah.
Emily and Shannon are on the phone, on FaceTime. Emily is trying so hard to communicate her feelings to Shannon about what is going on and to really I really got the sense that she was trying to initiate an extremely honest conversation. And this was a prime example of someone going to the hardware store for milk. You are desperate. You know that what you're saying is right, and I'm not saying that's why she was hell-bent on communicating her issues. It was that she wanted to get to a place of mutual understanding with Shannon, and Shannon was not having it. And I've been Emily when you're trying so hard to explain to someone who is absolutely closed down to what you're trying to say, and you feel like you're in the twilight zone. You're like,
Well,
"I."
because it's
Yeah.
go ahead, sorry.
No, it's because you know that you were in the same situation as them, and they're completely not seeing it that way. I have raised my voice, I have gesticulated wildly, I have hung up on people, I have been Emily in these conversations, and it's really, really hard. Anyway.
No, and it's just like to me again, this had happened in that party where they all dressed up as each other too. That this dynamic between Emily and Shannon is the classic alcoholic Al-Anon relationship
Yep.
because
Yep.
it's not just that Shannon puts a wall up, it's that she turns it on Emily. She goes,
Yeah.
"Well, I'm very hurt too. I've had a very hard time." And it's like, Shannon, you're the one, you are manufacturing your own misery. And, you know, yeah, I related to Emily a lot too. And at one point, I don't know if like the cold brew and her nervous system like coming undone hit at the same time, but the phone was like shaking in her hand. And to me, again, I'm projecting all of my own shit onto this cold brew scene, but it's that fury of like, you are asking me to keep your secrets. You're asking me to lie. And this is like it's so fucked up and it fries a nervous system to have to do this, but I'm willing to do it because I love you. But it gets extra hard when you're telling me you're not asking me to do this, or I'm being irrational because I have feelings about being asked to keep your fucking secrets. And you're telling me I'm the bad guy. Like I'm trying to drive from San Diego to go to your stupid party and not like it's just, again, look, it's happening to me right now. Like I'm starting to sweat. It's just, Emily said it. She said, you share shit off camera and then blame everybody else. It's not always everybody else's fault, Shannon. And
Oh,
then,
dude. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it was so, yeah. And then her Jekyll and Hyde, your Jekyll and Hyde, and I'm tired of it tone of voice. I was like, she's hit her limit.
Yep. 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 And then, yeah, just we end that scene with Shannon just spiraling and, doing a real vague hang up with John, like, sorry, honey, Emily just yelled at me and I gotta go. I gotta go. And I was like, oh God.
That's so
Oh
weird.
God. It was just so painful to see it. It was
I
so
mean,
painful to see it.
to me, the end of the scene was like, to me, this is like modern day reality TV. Cause now reality TV, people do try to like craft their storylines. But all this like break the fourth wall shit is like, that's where I'm like newly invested in
Oh
all of it.
yeah.
Because Shannon is saying to producers, I didn't sign up for this. This is my life. It can't go on camera. And then they cut to Emily going, you're on a reality show. I'm sick of your victim mode. And I was like, yes, yes.
It's so
But
true.
yeah.
It's so
And then,
true.
yeah. And that, yes, that call with John was like very odd. But again, another moment and reason to love Emily is that she couldn't hang up the FaceTime call. And it's that, it's like leaving a room when you're pissed off and it has one of those doors that won't slam. It like closes on its own
Totally.
slow,
Totally.
like, on its own slow track. I've done that more than once.
Oh, who among
Um,
us? Yeah.
yeah, but I
Yeah.
loved Emily for having a sense of humor about it. She was so furious and laughing because it's absurd that she can't just like hang up her phone. Anyways,
Oh God. Oh
I
God.
can't believe how much I love Emily. I
I
really
know. I
like, I
know.
want
Me
to hang out
too.
with her.
I
It's
know.
insane.
Me too.
Don't meet your heroes, Margie. I'm sure it would be
Do
terrible,
not
but
meet your especially in the
in the no, in
949,
Orange
right?
County,
You're
no.
like
No,
yeah,
she belongs on my TV for 40 minutes once a week
absolutely.
for a couple months a
Absolutely.
year. That's it.
Absolutely. Then The next scene is Emily and Gina, right, arriving at the California Innocence Project backstage where some of the honorees and guests of honor are being catered to with hair and makeup.
I mean,
And
but first is
oh,
their
yes.
car ride there,
Oh,
where
yeah,
again,
yeah,
I
yeah,
fall in love
yeah.
with Emily because she goes, I'm so hungry. There should be DoorDash that you can helicopter into your car. And Gina didn't get it. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah.
I,
Like, I don't know why. I just like can't get enough
I just hope
Emily.
I hope it's not hacky. Like, I hope it's not like, oh,
Oh, it seemed earnest. She
she
seemed like hungry. Maybe I'm
because
wrong.
she made that splash last year when she brought out the sub sandwich in the middle of a sauna, which is hilarious. Like, the last thing I wanna do in a sauna is eat because it's just
A
so
sweaty
oppressively
turkey
hot,
sandwich.
right? And then, like, of course, like, we know that she loves tacos, and so
The tacos felt a little forced, but that moment in the car felt like very real. Where
yeah.
it's, when you're like 20 minutes in and you still have an hour to go and you're like, oh, I'm
God damn it, I'm
starving. It's
hungry,
worse.
right?
Yeah, it'll be
Getting off
worse
the
to pull
freeways.
over.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Anyways, and we get our little flashback to Terrell, we
Yeah.
met last season, who's wrongfully convicted and spent 15 and a half years in prison.
His, like, early years, like, he was a teenager to a young adult, like, a very hard time. Not that there's not a hard time,
17.
but yeah.
He was 17 and they were denied representation, he said. And yeah, he to me in this episode is that an example that like kindness is a discipline. You have to choose every day to which path you're going to take. Cause I'm with Emily. I wouldn't blink if this man wanted to just light the world on fire and tell everybody to fuck off forever.
Right.
But he's devoted his life to making sure as he can that another kid doesn't suffer his same
Oh
fate.
my
Like,
god.
what the wow.
I know,
Anyways, so
I
we
know.
see him, and then, yes, we move into talking with the exonerees, and Gina should not have been allowed in that room. She cannot be with anyone's discomfort or truth.
I know.
She was
It
awful. She's
was,
like, "You're convicted for a double murder?" It's like, it's
uh,
not,
I know,
oh
I
my
know, I
God.
know. I wanted just a hole in the earth to swallow me because I just this when I feel powerless, it's such a huge trigger, and what can be more powerless inducing than knowing that you didn't do something and you're paying the ultimate price? The ultimate price. She was on death row. She was on death row, one of the exonerees.
Mhm. And
Um,
would have stayed there to its end
my God.
had the other person not discovered a conscience and confessed. Like, fucking hell.
While legit criminals are walking free, being paid
And
for by
then,
American taxpayers.
yeah. And then you have Gina still, she addressed these exonerees the same way. You know, when she approached the kittens in Jen's kitchen later and she's like, ew, do they have diseases? Like, she's very like skittish around them the same way. And like, these are human beings and they actually did nothing wrong. So you being like weird around them, it just made me mad because I imagine that's a lot of how they have to move through the world with people being like, ooh, you were convicted for murder. And it's like, yeah, the whole point is anyone could. If
Mhm.
you don't know Shannon Bedore, who knows the DA, could have been you, you
Mhm.
know?
Mhm. Mhm.
She
Mhm.
needs, and yeah, and she just ends it by going like, "Well, let's be positive, right?"
Oh my
And I was
god.
like,
Yeah, it was
"Gina,
awful.
actually just shut up and listen to their stories. Why
Right.
don't you try that?" Ugh.
Right. I'm so happy to be here. It's so nice to meet you.
Tell me your
Tell me your
story.
story. I thank you.
Everybody just wants
Right.
to be like seen and heard and understood. They don't want to be told, or again, I'm projecting all of my shit, but to being told like, let's just be positive, right? Let's get our makeup done and drink champagne and pretend you didn't lose 20 years of your life
Oh my
wrongly behind
god.
like, Jesus Christ, Gina. Okay.
And I'm sure you noticed this too. What was so poetic about this episode is that scene closes with Emily's in the moment of saying, I have no need to complain about anything. Cut to Shannon in an utter despair spiral over a dinner party that's being ruined, a real cultural appropriated dinner party that's being ruined because her behavior is making three of her coworkers uncomfortable. So they are not coming with their respective partners to Shannon's Señor Noodlez event. And
I
and
love you saying that. That's
yeah.
so true. If 3 couples aren't coming to your party, look at yourself a little bit,
Also,
honey.
right, like,
Like,
the fact that you get to throw this party, you get to spend the money to throw this party, you get to close down another business on the beach. I'm sure you had to pay money to close down that Huntington Beach house or whatever that place was called to have this
like the
party.
slush shack or
Slush
something.
shack,
I don't know what the
yeah.
fuck it was.
I mean,
Slush
she's
house.
saying I believe Shannon said that this is a worst case scenario to have her work friends not show up. Like, bitch, get 10 million grips. Get 50,000 grips. Get all the grips that we've been allotted on this earth. Get them, take the grips, do what you're supposed to do with grips. And oh, every little bit of compassion I have for Shannon vaporized in this episode.
100%. And that is the progressive disease of alcoholism. Like where we could get on board 5 years ago. Now I'm just like, you know what? You need to get help or you need to fuck off
Yep.
because
Yep.
it was amazing. That cut of Emily going, so many of the things we worry about are trivial. I have no reason to complain. And then we cut to Shannon going, I'm devastated that 3 couples aren't coming to my Mexican fiesta. I just, yeah.
And
I wonder if this
yeah.
will give her some perspective on her own behavior, but I'm sure it won't. She won't
And I
be able to
know
see
that
it.
everything's relative, you know. I you could ask my therapist like how much time I have spent prefacing what I want to talk about with the fact that I know that the problems I'm talking about right now are, I'm not saying they're not real, I'm not saying they're not valid, but in the grand scheme of things, I feel like a real dick talking about how it's it's hard for me to look down a day when my kid's on summer vacation and we don't have a plan, and the amount of anxiety that comes up for me, which we have determined is part of my probably coming from my ADHD, having that lack of plan it's enough to make me wanna take a Xanax sometimes, and, especially in early motherhood, I didn't know how to use the stroller, like, I couldn't always get it to fold up to go in the trunk, and so I would just be standing at my trunk sweating bullets on the verge of tears, not being able to breathe. I believe I would call Josh at work and be like, "I can't put the fucking stroller in the trunk." Obviously, he can't help me from there, but I was so terrified by that. But to hear myself say things like that out loud versus, like, real problems, you know,
No,
or
no.
okay,
The whole point is we are given what we're given. We work for what we can, and we give back. That is the missing piece of
okay,
Shannon
okay,
and
okay.
Heather and everyone else because we will all fluctuate through periods of like grace and loss, and I don't just mean financially. I mean in every way. Like you're talking about, what that story you just told, that's your loss of independence. You cannot move around if you can't get the stroller in the trunk because then you're trapped at home with like it's okay to like need help and reach out for help. And in the moments when we're flush with energy or cash or whatever the fuck, then we do our Emily best and we find a way that we can contribute.
Yeah, I
And honestly, even Jenn, like I foster puppies. So like I don't have a law degree. I can't figure out how to contribute to the Innocence Project just yet, maybe in time. But like I have space where I can bring puppies to socialize them and get them adopted. Like whatever. My point is you give back, you're conscientious about your contributions to your immediate community, which is like, you know, it's one of the reasons like I admire and adore you because
oh,
it's always
thank
on your
you.
mind. I mean,
I
you're probably tortured by it, but
I
like
am, I am. I yes, you
it's
know.
hard. Look, it's really hard, but I do, I whatever. I am raised sort of Irish Catholic, so like our default is like guilt and shame,
Oh,
right?
yeah,
So
dude, seriously.
uh, to manage it's hard. Like I will undermine my own success because I feel like until I've had it as bad as everyone else, or you know what I mean? Like I want to
Absolutely.
level the playing field before we all rise together.
Yep.
And I, you know, I can really undermine my own life in that way, which makes it hard for me to reach a hand out, in ways that at this moment in time I am blessed and capable of doing. I don't know if that will be forever, but I do know that it's all wasted if I just sit here with my thumb up my butt going like, my trials aren't as hard as others. So I have to ruin my life so
Right.
that I can
Right.
go to those exoneration
Ugh.
galas and be like, me too, as opposed to using what I've been graced with. I didn't earn it. I don't deserve it. It is a gift, how I was born into this world. And I think it's the only peace I get is when I understand that it is my privilege and obligation to engage my community wherever I have resources to give, energy, time, space,
Mhm.
whatever,
Mhm. Mhm.
you know,
Mhm.
hand
Mm.
out water bottles to the unhoused population during a heat wave. Like it seems it's not enough. It's not enough,
It's
but
yeah.
it's like, I don't know. I guess obviously I struggle with it too. I'm working on it, but
Yeah.
I hear it in you. I hear, that it really like on a soul level, it like, it's like a deep, like
Uh,
little aching torture
it does.
wound.
It does. I'm not. Yeah. It's
But you're not Shannon. You're not putting on a
no.
mini sombrero
Fuck
and
no.
hiring Mr.
I'm
Noodles
not.
and whining. Really, Shannon, that party took you 2 months to plan. It looked like shit. Am I wrong? I've thrown brunches in 5 minutes with like a table setting that looks more
It
interesting
it
than
was
that.
reductive. It definitely.
Beyond.
Yeah.
Oh, tequila in a fucking water gun.
Yeah, it
Come on,
was
man.
mortifying. No, when Josh and I got engaged and I moved into his house in San Diego, we threw an engagement party and we hired a taco truck, but the people behind the taco truck were not Señor Noodles. The food was fucking delicious. I did decorate. I made really cute decorations. I put little flowering cactus pots into like big, shallow glass vases. And instead of using dirt to cover up the pots, I used pinto beans. Thank you, Printist. But yeah,
That's awesome.
um, my party did not take 2 months to do, to plan, and I'm sure that I got the stuff that I needed for that party. I know I got stuff at Costco. I know I got stuff at the supermarkets in San Diego that have like a whole aisle dedicated to Mexican candles. And then papel picado from a website probably, or maybe not even. I think I probably went to like a little Mexican party store and got some. But no, 2 months for that. I don't know.
No, and also, like, that it just looks like the worst party. They can put all the effects on it that they want, and I was like, I would wanna leave that party so bad. I hated everyone at it. I hated the theme. The food looked god awful. They showed a plate of food at one point, and I was like, "What the fuck is that pile of slop?" It looked awful. Because I mean, whatever. I live for Mexican food. I seek it out. You directed me to the best burrito I've ever had in my life in San Diego, of all
Oh,
places.
hell yes.
Oh my god. But, like, it's usually, like, clean and, like, fresh and just, like, beautiful food, like I don't know, and whatever was on that plate was I don't know, it was like cubed avocado. It looked like what you feed a baby, when
It
they're when you want them to try different. It was weird.
It was just so fucking reductive with, like, the little clay, the pottery with the little it was just everything was just so fucking her
Sombrero.
sombrero hat. It was just white people gone wild with a Mexican themed party,
I
and
know.
I
It was so like 1995. I was like, I mean, I don't know. I just can't.
and then
And
every time Shannon speaks Spanish, like, "Okay, it's time to do un poco tequila tasting," and I was like, "Just say we're gonna do some tequila tasting. Please don't put in the 5 words you know in Spanish." And listen, I have no room to fucking talk. I cannot speak very good Spanish.
But
I
she's doing it in a way where it's like, here's something dumb that other people say,
Yeah,
un poco tequila.
it
It's like,
was
ugh.
so fucking embarrassing and gross. And
And when
so
Señor Noodlez in La Casa, I was like,
yeah, yeah.
nope.
Now listen, I don't wanna say obviously, I can't say for sure if this man comes from any kind of Mexican ancestry. I don't know. His looks we have people in my dad's side of the family that have, red hair and freckles and or blue eyes and paler skin, but this
To me,
guy
it's his food that was the biggest tell. I was like, that is not someone who is, because again, I don't know why, but like my closest friends over my lifetime have been Mexican women, and it is I know what real refried beans that are made like over 3 days from soaking, and I know what that looks like, and that whatever was on that plate was I don't know what the fuck it was.
Uh,
It was
it
disgusting.
was it was and then again, Margie and I both did our respective, unbeknownst to each other, deep dives into Señor Noodlez, who also goes by Mac Noodles. It just depends on what culture he's either doing his mobile Benihana ripoff gig or he's doing his Señor Noodles gig, which is using the same portable grill hibachi but cooking different food. So I don't know about this man. I tried real hard. I did find out that he's on SoundCloud and has done rap battles. So he just feels like an unfulfilled creative to me, which is such a hard creative to be.
It's true,
But
but he's trying, like everyone in Orange County, he's trying too hard.
it was,
He just turned it up, and like he's not funny.
you
His
know,
food looks like shit. Like I don't know. My takeaway from the scene, I just wrote like I think I loathe all of the men in OC.
I don't think that's
Eddie's a
hard.
drip, Ryan's a pig, John's a dick, and Mr. Noodles is annoying.
Yeah.
That was my
Yeah.
conclusion.
Yeah.
And it's not that I hate men. I think Taylor's husband is like totally charming and harmless
I have
so
no
far.
idea. Maybe one day we should go back and watch their season on Marriage Boot Camp and see what
Oh,
we
fuck
learn.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
right.
Or I'm sure there's like deep dives on it or not even deep dives, but I'm sure there's info on Reddit about her husband. Shannon gets up to make a toast. So the only couples that are at this party, the only couples that have showed up are Eddie and Tamara, Taylor and Mr. Taylor. I don't remember what his name is.
He looks like Rex Ryan, the coach, the former coach of the Jets. I forget his name too.
And then,
Wait a minute, I think it's John. Isn't everyone's name John?
is it?
I don't know.
I'm
Whatever. He's
sorry, Mr. Taylor.
nondescript.
I'll
Yeah.
learn your name. And then Jenn and Ryan. Those are the only couples that have showed up to this party. So Shannon gets up to make a toast, and then Eddie says, "Well, we're here to toast your guys' relationship." And
Fuck
I'm
Eddie.
all,
Go away.
"What? What?" That's
Yeah.
so I felt like he was leading the witness, or possibly someone told him to say that. I don't know.
It was the whole thing was weird. Shannon got up and was like so it was hilarious because she looked like so dumb and victimy with her stupid tiny sombrero. Like you can't look sad and victimy. It undercuts your whole point. And then John did that thing that again, like it, it's not from a loving place when he said there's salt on your nose. It's not like, oh, sweetheart, there's salt on your nose.
While
It
she's
literally was
making a
like there's
toast.
salt on your nose,
Yeah.
idiot. Like again, I'm projecting all of my own shit, but the alcoholics in my life have a different tone when they bring shit like that up than like if I had salt on my nose and you were sitting next to me, you'd be like, Margie, like it would be sweet and thoughtful and for the purpose of like, knowing that I wouldn't want to see pictures of me with salt on my nose down the road. But John, it just felt like a way to be like, hey,
To
idiot.
belittle, yeah, to
Yeah,
belittle
that's
and
it. That's the word.
humiliate. To belittle
Yep.
and humiliate, which there are some brands of alcoholics really can humiliate you
Because they hate themselves
as
so much. God
right.
bless. But
They are
like that was
master humiliators.
that was one of those moments
Yeah.
that like in one instance, who cares? But over the course of a long-term relationship, those moments just absolutely erode your whole like soul being around someone like that.
Yep, yep.
And then John, yeah, Eddie says, we're here to celebrate your relationship. And John's like, it's not perfect. It's not perfect.
God, it was so
And it was like, oh
uncomfortable.
God, okay. No one said it was.
It
And
so uncomfortable.
yeesh,
Oh my
very
god.
weird.
Oh my god.
Oh, and then that flashback to the boat where
Yep.
she's like, are you going too fast? And he's like, I don't see a wake, honey.
Yeah.
And then it was like,
It was
It
it
was
was
so
it
tense.
was really it was really weird. It was really weird. And everyone's wasted. And this Shannon starts telling everyone the other people didn't come up. Jenn is really able to kind of take a little deep breath at this point because I can imagine she's like, oh, thank God somebody else's relationship is in the scrutiny spotlight besides mine with Ryan. And she's able to use that opportunity. Like, isn't it awful when people talk about your relationships? And so she's able to meet Shannon in that space, but it also, that's not,
And then
yeah,
it was so
it's not
bizarre because
good.
she said it's terrible when people talk about your relationship. And Tamra, who must have just been shit faced at the end of the table and forgot that she's the one who put Jen's relationship on blast.
Exactly.
Jenn says it's terrible when people talk about your relationship, and Tamra just goes, "It's disgusting."
She
And I
was
was like, "Wait a minute,
everyone
I am
was
so confused."
everyone was so wasted and
Yes,
it was awful. It was awful to see everyone so drunk. Tequila Tammy, um,
which was like not funny, and like Tamra enough. I don't. She's bringing nothing at least this week except filler.
at at
So much filler.
at some point in this dinner, Taylor asks she asks the wolves in the wolf den, what wolf can't I trust? She's like, well, I don't know who I can trust. Who can I trust? And she's asking Tamra who she can trust. Taylor, Taylor, Taylor.
Taylor was shit faced.
Taylor
I
was
don't know if she knew
shit-faced.
she was even talking.
She was shit-faced. So Shannon is pissed because she believes that Gina was talking shit about her relationship. And so to retaliate for that, and correct me if I'm wrong or this is not the take you had, Gina was arrested for drunk driving. Now, granted, this was in the press a lot when it happened. It was a big deal on all the gossip blogs when it did happen. And so it was already talked about on the show during that time and in the press during that time. But Shannon takes it upon herself again to share that Gina may not have been kept out of prison had it not been for the hookup that Shannon had in the DA's office. And the only thing I could think of is don't do something for someone if you can't do it for them, period, full stop. What I've learned in 12-step rooms, especially, and honed in therapy, is you do not do things with expectations. If you are doing something with an expectation of accolades or tons of thanks or whatever, if you're doing something and you want something back, don't fucking do it.
It's transactional
Yep.
love. It's like, yeah, I helped Gina, and so she doesn't get to do anything.
Right.
Like it just is like it was really I thought Shannon was really
Shannon
disgusting.
was truly diabolical. Bringing up the word CPS in relation
Awful.
to Gina's kids. We don't. Yeah, I mean, I don't. Yeah, it was
It's
it
and
was
again,
awful.
it is I know it's indirectly, but it is involving her kids. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's a bridge too far and totally unnecessary and really fucking gross. And also it takes away all like I thought it was very nice of Shannon years ago when she did step in and help
I did
Gina. And
too.
now I'm like, "Oh, you know what? Fuck you."
Yeah.
Like that it's worse that you did because
Yep.
now she's in this double bind where anything she does that displeases you becomes reason for you to unload on her. It's
Absolutely.
awful.
Absolutely.
And then Mr. Noodles
And
says
then
everyone needs a shot.
everyone
So,
needs a
okay.
shot. He gets out his hacky tequila shooter. I was on his Instagram and he posted so many posts about being on this show. Like so many screen grabs from the episode. And listen, maybe if I was Señor Noodles or had a business I wanted to get off the ground like Señor Noodles/Mac Noodles does, maybe I would do the same thing. You're right. It just reeked of try hard, and the guy does not need any more helpings of try hardness. He needs to cut down on that. Yeah.
No, and also, you know what he needs to do is like get his business in the search engine because I Googled Senior Noodles while I was watching the show and like nothing came up. Senior Noodles Orange County, Senior Noodles caterer, nothing.
I went on the
So,
website and went on the
oh,
about
he has a
page.
website?
He has a
Oh,
website.
see, I didn't even get
Um,
there. I found him rapping, but I couldn't find his fucking catering business.
and I went to the about page because, okay, here's what I do. And my sister does it. Anytime I go to a business where they are selling clothes that could be from Mexico or any other part of the world where local artisans of color or Black artisans make them. I want to know who's profiting off of it because there are plenty of businesses who are owned by the artisans in that culture who sell those wares, be it handbags, earrings, sandals, artwork, pottery. I'm wearing a Mexican blouse right now. It's like, who's profiting off of it? And there have been times where in the middle of the day, I've gotten a call from my sister. She's all, you know what, dude? I found this shirt. It's so cute. I went to the about page. Guess who fucking sells it? And it's like, not the person from the culture. When you profit from another person's culture, it is appropriation. And I don't fuck with appropriation. I don't fuck with it, you know?
I mean, certainly not when it's like as unfinessed as Señor Noodlez,
Unfinessed,
Like if you actually have an
hacky.
education and you give a shit, I don't know. This was just like so aggressively awful. Shannon hosting it with her mini sombrero and Señor Noodlez catering it with his tequila guns. And
Yeah,
like the whole thing
he
was
had
just
like a super soaker filled with tequila that he shoots into your mouth. And I was just like, this is what in the fucking hacky catering to American tourists in Cabo San Lucas bullshit is this? Sad all around. Everyone's wasted. And I would have ran from this party screaming, or had I walked by it, I would have been like, what are those crazy white people doing?
same. It looked like it's like my worst nightmare of a party. Like terrible people, terrible food,
Yeah,
and like
absolutely.
really trying hard to have fun.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Oh, sad,
Heather's in her
sad party.
penthouse.
So
Who
then,
cares?
yeah. So then Heather goes to her new penthouse and again likes to talk about the fact that two kids are almost out the door. Ma'am, aren't they like wrapping up middle school? There are plenty of years left. They are not almost out the door. I
It,
just I don't get it, dude.
I don't either. It's a very, she's doing real weird shit, including, I'm sorry, did she have suede on her kitchen cabinet
That didn't make
doors?
sense to me either.
What
So
the fuck?
the penthouse that they bought was, I don't know if it was a spec penthouse made by Robert Cavalli or if Cavalli actually lived there or both. But
I think this penthouse was on Million Dollar
it
Listing, and I believe it was just, Cavalli commissioned. I don't think he did it for the Dubrows.
okay.
I don't think Roberto Cavalli was like, "Oh, these
No, he
Orange County
absolutely didn't.
assholes are
No.
looking for a place. Let
No.
me furnish it for them."
But I know, I can see already, like, the fact that it's Cavalli involved at all is going to be a conversation piece. Heather's gonna get more and more mileage out of that than she should be allotted. It's gonna be a conversation starter for years.
And
Good
I
floors, though.
don't yeah, I mean, I guess. The whole place looked just, like, cold and sad and, like, the bathroom it looks like, again, it's like her old house was a mall, and this is sort of like a
A mini
real
mall.
fancy hotel. It's like, I dated off and on this, like, billionaire businessman who used to, like, fly
Oh,
me to
that's
wherever he was
right.
and, like, put me up in we would stay in the fanciest of hotels, and they were beautiful for, like, 10 minutes, and then after a while, it was like, "This is, like it's too much fancy and, like, it's too much, like, marble and suede." There's no place to relax. Everything is a thing, you know?
Mhm.
It just, like, I don't know. It seems exhausting to
Oh.
me, but I'm not Heather Dubrow, so
I did love the closet, and I did like the big black doors that were like the molded, yeah, I did like that.
wait, the closet seemed like a pain in the ass, though. You have to wait for the bar to, like, lower down to give you your shirts? Like,
Yes.
what the fuck?
Maximizing space, building up, definitely you
But it's
maximize
so
space.
slow. It was like, 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 I don't know.
Ah.
Isn't there a better way to, like, have, like, all of like, pictures of what's in there and then you, like, choose it on a screen or I don't the whole it was just so much robot automation, suede kitchen cabinet. It was just nonsense
There
to
was a
me. It
lot
just
going
seemed
on.
like
There was a lot going
yeah, it
on.
was, through the looking glass, but anyways, and also who cares? And I guess her son's lovely, but, like, I don't care that he's gonna bring his friends there to party or fuck or
Oh
whatever
my
he was
god, I know.
insinuating.
It's just all Heather's scenes are her being mad at someone else, not taking responsibility what she does, and then making quips that she thinks are really clever and hilarious. Oh, when she's like, "I'm back, baby." Like, when I had and she didn't even say that I'm so sorry, you guys. I realize listening back to these episodes that my brain is 50,000 times faster than my mouth, and so I'll start saying something, and then I have to backtrack, and I really hope I'm not confusing people because it's so fucking annoying, and I apologize. I would say I'm working on it, but I don't know even how to, I guess. It's just how my brain functions, but
I'm the same way. So if people can't get on board the ADD train, this isn't for them.
oh god, it must be so frustrating to listen to me.
No.
Well, God bless Margaret. When Heather says in her confessional when she's explaining how happy she is to move into this penthouse, she throws her arms up in the air and says, "I'm back, baby. Before, when I was in Orange County and someone offered me a part, I'd have to say no thank you, but now I can say yes." And it's like, "Okay, do you not realize that you're gonna have to go on tape or audition for some of these parts? Like, Hollywood's not just gonna be like, 'Hey, Heather, come,' uh, like, any show that I wanna be on isn't gonna be like, they're those kinds of shows are probably gonna ask her, like, to come in, but it's not gonna be whatever, you know what I'm saying. She's just so
It's
fucking
just
full of herself, she doesn't have any grip on reality, or she does, and I'm a fucking idiot for being fooled by f like, be by not knowing that it's contrived. I don't know.
I just
She's
don't know what she is after here because, like, the auditions she's talking about are when, you know, you have to be somewhere in 15 minutes to audition for a show that tapes that afternoon or something because they've
right.
just written in a part and we need someone, whatever. But so you're just going to sit in your $14 million penthouse? Like, it's those don't happen all day, every day. That's like a real rare case. So you're going to sit in your Cavalli penthouse just wait, like, it just the whole thing, I was like, I can't get excited for you because I don't know what you're doing. It
Mhm.
just seems like you're spending money in our faces, and that's fine, but the actor, the big, back on my career bullshit thing is not landing.
It's not. And to bring it back to, to therapy, the intersection of therapy and Heather Dubrow, I think what we're uncovering is that the thing that's so triggering about her is her commitment to never finding a shred of humility in anything she's saying. And she's exhausting. And again, I have to
Completely.
ask myself, Ramona, if you're watching The Housewives and this is unacceptable to you, why are you watching? But I think it's because I'm grateful that I can't be her. Like, I'm not programmed like Heather Dubrow, and the people in my life are not programmed by like Heather Dubrow. I'm able to glean some gratitude from that, and I'm able to glean some gratitude for that I'm capable. If anything, I know that I talk about my faults a lot. I have bounds of empathy and bounds of compassion for people that I think deserve it, or that I think are legitimately doing their best. Oh God, look at all these conditions I put on it. Never mind. I'll just stop
No,
there.
but you know what it is, Ramona? It's that, like, she's arranged it. She's such a fucking control freak that this season she's completely siloed from the rest of the ladies. Like, her scenes are all her and Terry and her kids. And so there's no real world. But I mean, at least when she's with the other women, there's someone there to, like, give her a side eye or ask her a question or have her explain herself or, anything, challenge her IMDb credits. But she's, since that IMDb moment in time, she's just, I don't know, like, satellited herself off from the group. So now it's just her and Terry spending money, being boring, ignoring that they have 4 kids, not just 2. So it's all just like, it's like a bill of rotten goods. And I don't know how she expects us to buy in. Just because you smile a lot as you say things doesn't make me happy for you or interested, right?
Oh my God. Fuck no. Her
Ugh.
little like contrived quips in the moments are just so cringe. I sound cringe when I say cringe because I'm hashtag too old.
It applies.
I
It
know.
applies. It's I've never heard you say it before, and in this circumstance, I see why you chose that
Oh
word.
my
100%
God.
right on. All right, so fuck Heather and her
Fuck
stupid
Heather
Cavalli
and her
penthouse.
shit. Yep, yep, yep. And
And now we
then,
have Jenn force feeding her kittens.
oh God, just grabbing
And
that little kitten head and like forcing it towards that morsel of wet food. I just, yeah, my a little bit of fight or flight was like
100%.
percolating in the background when I saw that. It just really,
And
really
her talking to it too, being like, just trust me, just eat
just
it. I was
trust me.
like,
I
oh my
know,
God,
I
it's a
know.
kitten. And then Gina confusing the smell of cat food for delicious cooking
Oh
was just like
God.
the trashiest,
It
one of
was
her trashiest
it was
moments yet.
so
I love her for it.
the smell of cat food makes me sick because
She's like, oh,
I don't like fish. I don't like seafood really, and I usually it's like what, a big old can of tuna flavored something for a cat.
any like wet pet food is fucking
Oh,
gross.
it's always got
Like
that nasty gelatinous layer of gravy.
that during the
Oh,
pandemic, whenever I was afraid I had COVID, I would open a can of my dog's like wet food and I would gag and be like, I'm fine. I can still smell because this makes
my
me
god! Oh
need
my
to
god! Oh
vomit
my
when I
god! Oh
put my
my
face in it.
god!
Anyway, Gina
Ay
is,
ay
and then she had
ay!
the weird, strange approach to Jen's daughter. She was like, what's your name? Everly? Like,
I
Gina,
know.
something was dysregulated in that woman in this visit.
And I
And then
did.
she
I'm so
just that she
sorry.
thought that she assumed the kittens had diseases, like something like very
It
like
was
apocalyptic was going on in her
It was
head.
so weird, and yes,
Very.
her fake lashes were so wildly out of control in this episode too. I don't understand, if you have eyes and a mirror, how you don't know that there are listen, I love a fake lash. I often, if I had more time and was better at it, I'd probably wear them instead of mascara. They're just, I don't know, they're fun and they're dramatic looking, but, like, they don't have to be that dramatic and camp.
They are truly like cheap, like dive bar drag queen lashes. Like
Oh.
they sit right in the middle of her lid. They're so heavy that her eyes can't open all the way. Like I've seen you when you've gotten lashes and they're like beautiful. They're like individually like placed in so they're dramatic, but they look like they came from a human being's face. Whereas Gina just puts these like heavy things that cast a shadow over her whole face. Like it is, and for it's just daytime. It's always her daytime look. And I'm like, oh my God, dial it back with those crazy drugstore
It was
lashes.
weird. It was weird. I said that Gina needs zero point zero more reasons to hate and resent Shannon, and I don't know if Jen's really helping much in that situation, and I also don't think that I think that this scene kind of proves that Gina has reached her limit with Shannon and there's no going back. There's no reconciliation in their future. She's had it. And
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, the scene bummed me out a little bit because Gina's absolutely right. You know, she said, Shannon is always going to remind me what a fucking saint she is.
Mhm. Mhm.
And I was like, yeah. And then Gina followed it up by saying, like, whatever, she made a phone call. And I was like, no, now you ruined it because
Right.
that's not true.
Right.
What she did was really extend herself to save you from a horrible situation.
Right.
So you don't get to diminish what she did just because she sucks and brings it up all the time. So
Right.
now I hate you both. Like
Right.
I was
Right.
about to be on your
Right.
side, Gina.
I mean,
And she really
yeah.
did say the most profound thing that literally to me, I was like, is this a song lyric? Because it's so well said. She said, you can't light me on fire and let everybody watch me burn so that they don't look at you.
Oh my
And that
god,
is,
I wrote that too.
I was like, that
Yes,
is fucking poetry.
it
And
is.
if, you know, I guess cat food smells like fine dining to you, but every now and again you get something right. And
Your
that
your
was,
your lashes are, assaulting to my and other people's eyes, and yes, a broken clock is right twice a day, and she's
she
right.
nailed it.
She really did
Yeah.
nail it. She really did nail it. God damn it. Yeah, yeah. Anything else about that one?
No,
And
just that Jen has coffee made and microwave coffee,
oh, I
which was a
know.
little, and like, I was like, oh no,
I
you're a housewife. You're supposed to have an espresso maker and like a milk frother,
Yeah,
but
but it's Orange
okay.
County.
I know you're right. I keep forgetting. My
It's Orange
expectations are
County,
wrong.
and
You're
even
right.
though their mini malls have Bang& and Olufsen, doesn't mean that their kitchens are gonna have listen, I don't want an espresso machine either because Nestle is a fucking evil piece of shit conglomerate company, and they are, like, part of the reason why the Earth is in the state that it's in, and their human rights practices are dia-fucking-bolical. We got our Nespresso machine back before I knew that Nespresso was Nestle, And I don't just want to get rid of it because it's Nestle, and I don't buy capsules from them. I buy them from Pete's because they have a recycling and composting program. And yes,
Nespresso does has a recycling program now.
oh, yeah. Oh, that's
I
right. They
know.
did too, but like
They send you a bag with all of your pods and
child
whatever. I know.
child labor. I get it. Oh,
Oh,
yeah. Oh,
no.
yeah. For their
Oh,
chocolate. Oh, yeah.
God.
It's and every fucking Halloween, I text my friend Lee and I text my sister and my mother because I'm like, what fucking candy am I gonna buy? Isn't owned by Mars or owned by Nestle. So I know I'm not giving out candy that was made by the children the same age as the trick-or-treaters that come to our door.
I didn't fucking know that.
Yeah,
What the fuck? What are
Nestle
they?
Nestle and their bottled water, Nestle and their chocolate. Yes, and everything is fucking political. I don't care that this is a podcast that talks about Bravo. Everything is political. Everything is political. Full stop. And so anyway, so yes, Keurig. I don't know if Keurig recycles, but I
I don't know. You don't get the sense, but
I don't get the
whatever.
sense. I did have to say I liked what I feel the same way about coffee that isn't hot enough, and when Jen's like, "It doesn't make the coffee hot enough for me," I was like, "I like you. I get that.
I get it
I get it."
too. It
Yeah.
was just, yeah. And I do the same thing. I, you know, I have an espresso machine and a milk frother. I have
Yeah.
a very
Listen,
bougie coffee situation that I mean, it's part of what got me through the pandemic.
of
Just like it's
course.
the only reason I got out of bed.
They make
But
delicious coffee.
yes, and the milk frother in particular. But the milk frother sometimes it doesn't stay hot, so I'll put it in the microwave. But like, I don't know, I had something about it just seemed so maybe it's just too relatable. I was
I
like,
liked
"Ew, it's
it,
too
yeah.
pedestrian." I know.
No, I thought and plus microwave coffee tastes like utter fucking shit. Like, I'd rather drink
Oh,
cold coffee than zap it. Reheated coffee is not good,
no.
but yeah,
And a
I
microwave is just gross. Like, I use mine all the time to heat shit up, but, like, it has all its old smells in it, like, it's just a
Ah.
gross place to put a cup of coffee, but for those 2 ladies, it worked just fine, and yeah, it was great.
It's so funny because just days ago, I texted my cousin and my sister, and I'm like, "Do you guys just ever wish we could go back to grandma's house and, like, have her say, 'Mija, you want a little bit coffee?'" And then she always had Coffee Mate or Cremora in the fridge. There's just that taste that I sometimes get nostalgic for because it reminds me of sitting at my grandmother's counter, chatting with her, maybe eating some pan dulce if we had some in the house, maybe
Mm.
not. I want the Folgers and I want the Cremora because it reminds me of my grandmother. So Bravo can bring you gifts. Bravo is
Yeah.
not trash.
No.
I was like, "Aw," and it was just days ago. So, and my cousin and
That's
my sister were
sweet.
like, "Yes, yes, I do. I can taste it right now." So
Aw.
yeah, it was sweet. And then we closed the episode with Emily and Shannon at brunch. And it
Again, I
was,
love Emily for
yeah,
showing up. She's like, "I dressed for a coffee shop. I got it wrong." And I was
yeah,
like, "You look great. Who
yeah.
cares?"
And again, it was the first time, at least the first watch I did. The first watch I did not connect to the episode at all until this scene. Yesterday, I rewatched it with the never before scenes, and it did feel like obviously, I got more of it. I mean, we've been chatting for a very long time. So Emily is there, and I believe she really came with the intention of working through this conflict she's having with Shannon. And what I saw in this scene and what I saw in the scene compared again with the scene with Heather at the beginning, Heather talks to Shannon. She goes with a shoulders full of chips and resentment. And I don't believe she went with an open mind and really literally wanted to work through things with Shannon. Whereas Emily shows up, she puts aside her feelings. She really wants to connect with Shannon. She got emotional. She was leaning forward, wanting her humanity to meet Shannon's humanity. And she was willing to put aside being right in effort to be happy or have Shannon feel validated in a small way. That's why I connected to it. That's why I connected to it. Emily is showing more and more of her humanity in this season. And thank God, or I would never, I don't know if I could watch it. She apologized for her behavior on the FaceTime.
And without needing Shannon to apologize back, because
Exactly.
so much of the housewife dynamic in other, other franchises is like, Well, now don't you owe me an apology? But Emily came in, Shannon arrived as a total victim and sat down like,
Hi. Yeah.
yeah, ugh,
Oh,
just
it
like a
was
fucking cold, closed off bitch.
completely.
And yeah, Emily apologized and she was specific. She said, I apologize for the FaceTime call. I was out of line. And then Shannon goes, okay, just like really distant and shitty.
So
But Emily
awful.
didn't take the bait.
Nope.
She didn't say like, and you were also awful to
Right.
me. And like, she just like, yeah. So but maybe this is her lawyer training though. Shannon starts getting dramatic and Emily goes, tell me what I did. And then Shannon was like, you
Yep.
talk behind my back, I guess. And it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, nothing. She didn't do anything. You're just
Exactly.
mad in general. You're probably just mad at John. You're probably mad at David. This is probably that old. And now you're trying to,
Ugh.
work your anger out with whoever is in closest proximity.
One thing that I definitely learned in 12-step rooms, for sure Al-Anon, for sure OA, and then again honed in therapy and probably honed with friends too, definitely had opportunities to practice what I learned in my close relationships, in any of my relationships, is that when you apologize to someone, like this is what I learned in program. Again, it's without expectations. I'm apologizing because I know that if I don't take responsibility and acknowledge my part in conflict, I'm going to be the one to suffer for it too. And so taking like responsibility for something is not a quid pro quo, it's not transactional. And I felt it in my soul that when Emily was apologizing to Shannon, she was apologizing without any expectations.
And with total acceptance of who Shannon is.
Completely,
She sat
completely.
down knowing that Shannon is like erratic and irrational, and Emily loves her. And so she
Exactly.
was willing to sit there and say, sorry for my part. I can see what I did wrong. Help me to understand where you're coming from. Okay, you can't. But I did love Emily also for Shannon started going off on like Heather's telling lies and Heather. And Emily just very calmly was like, let's set aside Heather. I want to get back to you and me. And I was like, oh my
I know,
God, this is like
exactly.
revolutionary for a
Exactly.
housewives conversation.
Exactly.
Wow.
Margie, I clocked the same thing. She did not take the tempting bait. If
I
someone
was ready for
Me
it. I was like,
too.
ooh, oh.
I know. I was like, "Oh, wah, wah." Emily took the high road because I know if it was me, I would have like been like, yeah, let's talk shit. But Emily, yeah, she didn't take the bait. And then she shed tears. And
And I believe her that, like, again, her whole arc in this episode had to do with perspective, gaining
mhm,
perspective on what's important. And if you're fortunate enough to be in a place out in the world where you can hang out with people you love, then like, yeah, I guess I can get over your annoying sombrero party butthurt behavior. And, neither one of us are in jail. So let's enjoy each other for what we love about each other and try and let the rest go. Cause whatever.
Shannon is displaying telltale signs of alcoholism as it
It's
progresses.
so bad.
The
Oh,
lack of responsibility and the victim and focusing on everybody else's behavior except for your own, not to mention the terror that she feels about losing what she has or not getting what she wants. And
mhm.
we've seen her disease progress.
Yeah, it's
And
really
and
true.
we're at a point where it's never been this noticeable or bad before, you know? Yeah, we saw a couple seasons ago when she goes to Bronwyn's wedding with John and they get faded beyond fucking belief and are saying inappropriate things to children at the party, and just seeing their behavior like that, "Let's go back to the room and take a
That
shot."
was so
It
fucking,
was
oh my
so
God.
triggering and so awful, like, if you can't get through a
Ugh,
party now listen, nowadays, I probably would take a gummy and be like, "Oh, shit, is my gummy wearing off? I better take another one," like,
it's not the
ride that high,
same.
but
They're not in a fun place. When they went back to that hotel room, it was to, like, get their drinks. Because wasn't it like a dry wedding, like a dry reception or
oh, you're right,
something?
it was. I was like, was the bar line too long?" But you're right, it was a dry wedding. Oh
Yeah, so
my god!
they were just like, fucking junkies fiending,
Yeah.
God bless them. It's a disease, they're powerless, but like it was really unpleasant to watch. Cause again, it's like every family vacation you've probably been on too, where it's like, we have got to get the baby his bottle or shit is going to go bad.
There is a family vacation that we had where it was definitely the nail in the coffin, and that trip traumatized my mother and my sister
Mhm.
and I. It was awful, and I don't need to go into it, but, it was yeah, it was awful. I know the word trauma gets thrown around a lot, but it was my sister and I were 16 and 13 respectively, and it left us shell-shocked. It was awful. And then we got home and my parents split up, and I was like, "Took you long enough, goddamn."
Mhm. Mhm.
Anyway,
Yeah, I mean, that's how that's how we all felt when Shannon and John finally broke up. Everyone was like,
I
"Finally!" And
know,
now they're back
exactly.
together. So it's like, okay, well,
Ugh.
but at
So
least Shannon like ate a piece of buttered bread, which made me
well,
feel
and but she was
happy
like,
for
"But
her.
just one." And then she's like, "So
That was
what's low
sad.
fat?" Like, dude,
I
oh
know.
my God,
But
it just makes me
to
so
me,
sad.
me too. And also, yeah, just like, ugh. But it's her like punishing herself. And then at the end of the scene, when she'd relaxed, she had some like hardcore buttered bread. And it shouldn't be about that. But like
No,
everything with this woman right now is symptomatic of her like kind of, addictive, self-hating, self-punishing, damaging to others
oh my
behavior, you
God,
know?
oh my God, oh my God, oh my
Yeah, I worry
God.
for her.
I do too.
She's not right.
So
Anyways.
thankfully, we leave the episode seeing some behavior that was I was glad to see some behavior that I could relate to. I really, again,
Yeah.
Emily proves to be a champion of practicing what she has learned in her own therapy experience, and I love it. It's bringing some watchability to this season. I mean, between
Well, and
Tamara and Vicky coming back, we
oh
need Emily
God.
more than ever.
Yes. And I think what I was so pissed off about in, the episode we did last week talking about Rachel is like Emily was what everything that I had hoped Rachel would emerge from therapy being, like with a
Totally.
really strong sense of self, strong sense of what is in her power and what belongs to other people. And there was just none of that in her. But in this episode, I like, whatever. Emily has evolved like a motherfucker and she's awesome. And again, it might just be in context because of the people she's around, but I
Totally.
don't care. I'll take
It's
it.
all relative. Yeah. No,
Yeah,
I
I
get it.
loved her in this
I get
episode.
it.
She was great.
I get it. Oh, Lord. You guys, Margie and I have been chatting for a very long time. And if you like the content we're talking about, well, yay, you get more of it. And if you don't, I know that there's a pause button. I don't know. I don't want to say sorry for chatting about it for a long time, but I think we
No.
were so excited to be able to have a lot to talk about today versus last week where we had to be manipulated by Bethany and Rachel. Oh, God damn. Anyway, so this season's turning out to be good of OC. It's not
Yeah.
easy to watch, but it is giving. Um,
Yeah.
how has the rest of your week been? What other reality shows did you watch?
I mean, I'm just in a real football moment. I watched Hard Knocks again, which continues to deliver. In fact, I'm going to send this to you. I'll record it and send it to you. There was an exchange. There was a linebacker, and someone made a quip that he's fat, and he was so upset. He's like, "But I spent the off season like really trying to get in shape." Like, and then he asked the other guys on the line. He's like, "Do I look fat?" And then one of them is like, "Well, you're like not skinny." And he was like, "Come on, man." And he's like, "Well, I guess you look good for someone who's 300 pounds." And he's like, "Fuck you, man." But
Oh
it's
my
just cute. It's just
God.
kids. I mean, because, they're so young. They're like
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
And it just, I don't know. There was something really sweet and honest and lovely about it. And his friends were trying to support him, but he's also a linebacker. He's supposed to be 300 pounds. You can't do that job if you're like a waif. So I don't know. There was just something like very human about all of it. These are elite athletes at the highest level. And this poor boy is like upset because one of the cool kids, a quarterback, called him fat.
Poor thing, man. Come on. I don't
But then
ever expect anything but massiveness from a football player.
no,
And
and eventually at the end of the episode, he went up to the guy and was like, "Hey man, like I've been working." And the guy was like, "I'm sorry, I was just kidding." And like, I don't know. People are
I didn't
people
Jesus
yeah.
Christ.
But
Plus,
it is also their jobs. Their bodies are their jobs. Like, I don't know.
there's
It's
nothing
it's
wrong
interesting.
with having more of you. There's nothing wrong with it, you know?
No, and if he uses it to, you know, tackle other people, then
Exactly.
he's doing
Oh,
great.
poor
But it's
dude. I
just,
love that
yeah,
guy. I don't even know
he's so
him.
sweet. I love him too. He was adorable. And then last night I had insomnia again. Someday it'll end. But there's a new documentary. I think it's on Netflix called BSU, and it's about this football program that was created by a total con artist, and he recruited all these players claiming they would get a college education, high school, and play at a level that would get them into consideration for Division I college programs. And it was like a whole scam and a shameless scam by a shameless scammer. And it's fascinating to watch and heartbreaking, you know, but
Exploiting people,
yeah, exploiting kids,
exploiting
you know,
kids from certain socioeconomic backgrounds.
shamelessly, absolutely targeting and cashing in and abusing and all of that. But it's,
Colonizing, colonizing
well, I
and
mean, sadly, this is like, this is a Black man doing it
okay.
to a whole, Black community of young men. But my hope is that although the story is like absolutely devastating, my hope is that this kind of exposure of these young men who were put through this terrible situation, that good people who have resources will reach out to them and be like, hey, do you want to do this training camp, or do you want a job in a different field? I like you. You're a good guy. This shouldn't have happened to you, and let me help.
God damn
So
it. I
that's my hope
swear.
with
I
this
swear.
documentary.
I
But yeah, I'm
swear.
in a real football moment. We're heading into, it begins soon.
You know,
How about you? Oh,
I
sorry.
don't think I understand football. I have had so many people try to explain to me how it works. I'm not good at algebra or geometry or anything having to do with yards and subtracting and adding yards. I think that my ADHD has made me not understand football. And I'm not even trying to be cute or flippant or like whatever. I literally cannot stand the noise from the crowd. If I'm at a game, like when I was at UW, I got really good seats to a game once or twice. I don't remember, but I would go to those because it was when the UW was in the Pac-10. The Huskies were in the
I remember
Pac-10,
those
and
days.
I did
Yeah.
too. And we went to the Rose Bowl during that time and stuff like that. And
Yep.
so, like, it was fun. And the guy I was dating at the time was like, "Fuck yeah," And I'm like, "Great! I'm glad that I'm glad I can share this with you." But no, the noise and it's just it is so I can't handle it. Basketball, I understand. Baseball, I understand, but it's too long and too boring. Basketball, that's why I love the NBA. I
It's
love
great.
the NBA because it's accessible to me and it's glamorous thanks to the Bus family. Anyway, um,
Yeah, I
uh,
mean, my way into any sport is always because I've found a player that I'm interested in, or you know what I mean? So I wind up, that's my entry point, is like, I like this person. What is this person? I wound up getting into college football because I randomly watched the Heisman Trophy Awards one year, and I was so moved by these people and their families and like what a big deal it was. And so that was sort of my gateway into caring about college football, watching it and whatever. And it's so funny you say that about the noise, because like I there's some crowd noises that I can't stand, but like on a Saturday and Sunday when I turn on the TV and I hear that stadium sound, it's like, I mean, it's like being in a spa. Like it feels like the
oh,
weekend. It like, I know I have like 4 hours of that noise in the background if I want it. Like it's so soothing to me.
I
But I can totally see how it would be like.
also, and I can't believe I forgot to like mention this, like when I first started talking about football, and I can't get into it. It's like my dad had it on constantly,
Mm,
Monday,
that'll do
Saturday,
it.
Sunday, college,
Yep.
pro, and he would bet significant amounts of money, I believe, on games. And
Yeah,
so,
that's terrible.
and like, let's say my sister and I were watching something and there was a game on, my dad would just come in the room and just grab the remote and change the channel. It was like we didn't exist and we would just scurry out of the room, like, okay. So, football season meant my dad was either in a rage because his team lost, which meant he lost bets, or he was obnoxious because his team won and he won money. But it was never mind. I can't believe that that was
No,
yeah.
but you bring that up, and again, everything connects back to therapy, because in my household it was the women who watched it. My grandmama like had a crush on Joe Namath, so she would watch it, and like my mom loved it, and it was the safe people in my family that gathered
Wow.
around to watch football. My dad was never home, so
Yeah.
he was never a part of that. So I'm sure if I had to associate it with him, and certainly if there was
Ugh.
like betting and drinking involved, it
Oh
would have been
god.
awful.
Yeah. It was awful. It was fucking awful. So maybe
Fascinating.
I don't need to
No,
get
it
into
has a
football. It's fine.
no, no. If it's meant to be, you will at some point. Like,
Mhm.
but if Leo gets super into it, like you'll wind up getting into it with him. But otherwise, there's no need, I don't think anyone should be forced to enjoy a
No.
sport
No.
just because other people do.
No, no. I watch the Olympics, I watch NBA. I'm gonna try this year to watch more college basketball because obviously that's where NBA players come from, and I want to get in on the ground floor with some of these people. Like, I wish I had watched Austin Reeves play in college. I bet it would have been really exciting to watch, but that's okay. I can get there, and it's really not
And
that big
it's
of a fucking
weird now
deal.
because they only stay in college like 1 or 2
I know, it's
years,
so
so
crazy.
the turnover of like every year, I have no idea how Michigan's gonna be because our teams are different every year. It's
Mhm.
not like they build a team for 4 years and
Mhm.
then it's not that. It's
Mhm.
2 years and everyone moves off to the NBA, and it's a weird
It
system, but
is.
it's
It
great.
is. It
It's still
is.
exciting because college sports, it's just like the added emotional level of like you're still a kid, so you care a little bit too much and you don't have any distance from, you know, the reality of what winning and losing means in your life in the grand scheme. Anyways, it's just very sweet. I love it. Did you watch
I
anything?
did.
Okay.
I watched Love is Blind season 3. I didn't watch I never watched Love is Blind while it was out. I don't know why sometimes I can't. I think I've talked about this before. I can't always watch something like as soon as it comes out. The show will be waiting for me for the perfect time, and this week I was able to do so much cleaning and organizing because I had Love is Blind on season 3 in the background. There was one couple that I really loved like from the jump in season 3. And then I went on Reddit into the Love is Blind subreddit just to like do a deep dive on them. And I found out that this man that I thought was really great had been charged with domestic violence in between in between the time that they did the background checks on this cast and when the show started filming. He was arrested and charged with domestic violence. And I don't really care when juries don't convict people that have been accused of domestic violence. I think that it's probably evidentiary wise very hard to prove, or can be hard to prove, or Lord knows what a victim has to go through under cross examination. I don't know the details of why it was cleared, acquitted. Anyway, I was so bummed because I really liked this couple. Again, why the fuck am I still believing these goddamn shows, especially Netflix dating shows? They are like, whoa, they are so toxic. And I know it's a feature, not a fucking bug, when they are toxic and they come out as being disgusting, abusive pieces of shit. It happens on The Bachelor constantly. Racist, abusive. Those are worst case scenarios, but these producers seem to either overlook things or not find them or not look very hard. And again, feature, not a bug, but so
No, it's
yeah.
just you wish they would address it after. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
in the reunion or something, if everyone would just talk about it, but
I don't know what
that's
happened,
not a
but
great sign.
and then we caught up on New York, and I really like it. I really like it. It's glossy, the fashion, New York, the apartments. I really like it. I don't like Aaron. That's not a surprise. I love Bryn so far.
I
Jenna
only watched the
fascinates
most
me.
recent Yeah, I
Mhm.
only watched the most recent episode, so I have some history to catch up on, but I loved it. I
Yeah.
thought Bryn was like a perfect asshole.
Mhm.
I thought Jenna I mean, I haven't watched all the episodes leading up to it, but she seemed like vulnerable and interesting. She
Completely.
exposed that she had like gone through a breakup or something. Like, I don't know. I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it.
I really like that show. I really like it. I'm glad that I'm glad that I stuck with it. That's what I watched. I watched a fuck ton of Love is Blind, and I might do some more this weekend while I catch up on my laundry and my piles and my other tasks. Besides, keeping track of the ultimate reality show, which is going on right now, that the former president was arrested yesterday. So, there we go.
Oh my God, what a strange choice for a mugshot pose. He really chose some angles, didn't he?
He's There's no hope for that man. Yeah.
He's got a mugshot
Yep,
now.
yep, yep.
So I was thinking, since like gift, glitch, and goal is starting to feel like a goddamn chore, and since everything in life is like a little bit heavy right now, I was thinking maybe we just do like an antidepressant of the week,
Oh, I love that.
just for, because it was feeling like homework. And honestly, I would sit down and be like, "You didn't do your fucking goal that you set last
Oh
week."
my
Like,
God. Yeah, I forgot
and
what
I
my
would
goal
start
was.
to I remember because I violated it within like 10 minutes. Like, I was going to not look at strike articles. Please. Like, there is like a tiny development, and I was immediately like right back down the rabbit hole. So then I felt like shit about myself. And then I was like, maybe I'll see if Ramona would be open to just
I'm
doing like,
absolutely
let's just
open.
do an antidepressant. Like,
I'm
what was good?
100% open. I'm 100% open.
Great.
In fact, I can start
Yeah.
this week. I'm not going to make
Yay.
you start it. I got to do ketamine therapy for the first time since June 2nd, yesterday. And it was kind of a rocky start because there's a shortage, and the DEA is being real fascist with giving people access to this medicine, which I understand because there is a wildly huge part of the ketamine industry for therapeutic ketamine that is being very exploitative and kind of like not necessarily doing it the way it's going to ultimately help the patients. I'm not saying the way I do it is the be all end all. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying that the way I do it features the integration process as much as it does the actual short amount of time you're under the influence of the medicine. The ketamine I had to use yesterday was not the ketamine that my doctor normally stocks because, again, there is a shortage. And I had to get 4 shots to get it in, like 2 in each upper shoulder where it's just like straight muscle under skin. And so my arms are still really sore from it. But it was so like a switch was flipped. I needed it so bad. I didn't know how bad I needed it. I talked about everything that's been going on between my last session and now. So we had about like 90 minutes of talking about what I've been feeling and how oppressed I've been feeling with how out of control my life has been feeling. We talked about that for about 90 minutes before I got the injections. The trip was fan-fucking-tastic. I was able to kind of be open to receiving what the trip showed me. At one point, I talked about Love is Blind. At one point,
I mean, look, it's the
it's the
intersection of therapy and
intersection of
reality TV,
therapy and reality
baby.
TV. Yeah, and I always record my sessions on my voice memo app, so I can listen to them later.
Oh, that's so
So I
cool.
haven't listened to it yet, but I think that when I talked about Love is Blind, it was kind of towards the end of my trip, so I could kind of remember it. And I feel like I have a new lease on life. It really does
Mm.
windshield wipe away. It doesn't make the things go away. It just helps bring my true, most recovered, most compassionate self to the surface, and the noise and the self-hatred just gets minimized and easier for me to wrestle with. Not wrestle, but even just like acknowledge and go like, okay, like I feel right-sized again. I feel I feel like I have access to hope and
Mm.
perspective now. And so I'm really grateful. I'm really, really grateful. And I, drank a lot of fluid after I was done. I don't feel anything today. Got a great night's sleep. I really love my ketamine doctor and I really love my ketamine therapist. And it was nice just to be in their office yesterday and just have some time to relax and let my brain and my psyche heal, let the medicine do its work. And I'm just wildly, profoundly grateful that I got to do that. So that's my huge antidepressant, literally
That's
and figuratively.
that's
Yeah.
awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah, that's
How about
amazing.
you?
Last weekend before the hurricane on Saturday,
Oh,
I had the hurricane.
oh,
I
Jesus.
had yeah, it
Jesus.
was too much.
Mother
When
Earth is pissed.
she's so
She's
mad.
rightly furious, honestly.
And the earthquake was one of those like rolling ones that it was long enough for me to go, I said out loud, today? Because it was like windy and raining. And then all of a sudden
It's
the
all
whole
bloop,
house starts going,
bloop.
room. I was like,
Yeah.
huh. And it was so long. Anyways, but everything's fine. Everything is, everybody is fine. But the day before, it was this like humid, breezy day as the hurricane was like starting to make landfall. And I had brunch outside with my goddaughter, Gracie, and my friend Beth. And
Mm.
we walked around Larchmont and Gracie like read me a story at the bookstore and we like played
Mm.
with toys and she showed me the features of their new car and like I just had the best time. I like hanging
Oh.
out with a 7-year-old is like it is the like quickest hit of joy I've ever found, you know? It was so fun. She's so cute, she's so funny. I just had the best time with her. And Beth is amazing too, obviously, but I've known her for 30
Right,
years.
right,
Gracie,
right,
I've
right,
only known
right,
for 7.
right.
So I'm still like getting to discover new, adorable, delightful things about her. It
I
was just the best. I was
totally.
so happy.
When kids find just utter, uncensored delight in something that you take for granted every day, and they just like marvel at it, it's just so soul nourishing.
And she loves to laugh. Like she looks for things that are going to make her laugh.
100%.
Like, it's so adulthood. There's a lot that I enter the world like looking for things to be afraid of and to fend off. And I forget that like just, a few hours with a 7-year-old, I'm like, oh my God, the whole, uh, I don't know. There's possibilities, like you said, for hope and friendliness and like things to like
Yeah,
about the day to day. So
exactly.
that was a true antidepressant. Like it legit kicked up chemicals in my brain that made me feel stable and
I
happy and
love that.
hopeful and all of the things. Me too. It was great.
Very glad for you. That's great.
Yeah.
I'm so happy that we got to see each other this morning and that we had a nice, juicy episode of Orange County. It's so lovely to be here. And I could probably talk for another hour, but that would be a little excessive. I'm just real happy I got to see you today.
Me too.
And thank you, everyone that has hung in for this extra large double appointment of a therapeutic dose. You can always email us at atherapeuticdose@gmail.com. Find us on Instagram at atherapeuticdose. Rate, review, subscribe, follow, pass it on to your friends, send us feedback, whatever. And have a lovely fucking weekend full of love for yourself and compassion for yourself. And I probably need to work on some gratitude lists.
I mean, yeah, we could
Yeah.
all always benefit from all of that.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was amazing as always. Thank you for, letting me work through my shit via these ladies from Orange County. And yeah, everybody take good care of yourselves and we'll see you next week for another therapeutic dose.
Yeah. And remember that reality TV isn't trash. Yes. All right.
It's
Margie, I
medicine.
love you.
I love you too.
Listeners, we love you. Everyone have a great weekend. Bye.
Bye.
Ramona and Margee are
Obviously.
not doctors and do not provide medical advice. Their content is intended to be used for entertainment purposes only. It is not intended to be, should not be interpreted as, or used as a substitute for medical advice or a diagnosis of any health or fitness problem, condition, or disease, nor a recommendation for a specific test, doctor, care provider, procedure, treatment plan, product, or course of action.
My mom isn't a doctor.